Hi, I'm Corey. All right, so first I want to apologize to Corey Buckley because this was supposed to hit like just so perfect. I'm going to be talking about presenting yourself and your game to publishers. Am I good? Okay.
No, you're good.
Do I hit this one?
Yep, or space.
Oh, thanks. AKA, pitches be crazy. Thank you, Corey Buckley, who has also named every single Summer Slow Jam's creative theme this summer. If you ever need a title for your game or for your company or something, you should hit up Corey Buckley. He just knows all the good names. Introduction, my name is Corey Warning. I'm the co-founder of Rose City Games with Will Lewis, which is why we like to bicker at each other. I help organize PIGSquad as well, but before all that, I worked in the music industry for about 10 years, both as a signed artist and later as a record label representative. Lately, we've been working with Viz Media, who is an anime manga publisher, on a couple of titles. The World Next Door, which came out in March, and our new game called Cat Lady, which is in active development right now. And I'm trying to be the producer on that project as of like this morning, so I really appreciate Sarah's talk because I'm learning. We are heading to PAX right now with a brand new game that we are pitching to publishers, and in a few weeks we're also going to be announcing a new title that we're helping publish, so we are busy. All of these things kind of feel like I'm bragging, but I also want to mention that my biggest weakness is public speaking, so I'm kind of just masking all that stuff, so thank you for letting me practice with y'all. I was going to show the trailer for Cat Lady, but I'm worried that I'm going to go over on time, so I'm going to skip this. And if you want to check out the trailer, Google Cat Lady game Rose City, because there's like a card game and another game that's called The Cat Lady, and that's hard to find. So Google like Rose City, Cat Lady, Will Lewis, Jim Guthrie, and you should find our trailer. PIGSquad. So this is making it easier for me, thank you. So to start, why would you even want to work with a publisher? So publishers can be really great if it's a good fit for what you're looking for. They can help you with a lot of different things. Money is obviously the big one. Usually you're trading a percentage of your revenue shares for cash up front. I think if anybody's tried to release a game recently, you might know that it's harder than ever to kind of go after discoverability or to just get noticed. Thank you, digital distribution. So publishers can help you kind of break through all that noise by being a part of an awesome collective of other games or being a part of a publisher sale or something like that. They can really help out with that kind of stuff. Our friends who made Gato Roboto recently, who you all might know, Britt, Colin, Joseph, their game came out right smack in the middle of the Devolver digital publisher sale, which I'm sure did not hurt them at all. They can also help you meet new teammates that you need to work with, set you up with service companies for playtesting and translation. And if you're looking to get your game onto a console like Switch or PlayStation or Xbox, they can help with that kind of stuff too. So maybe you can do all of this stuff yourself, which in that case, why wouldn't you want a publisher? One of the biggest reasons is you're going to be very likely trading a chunk of your revenue share for that money up front. This can be tough if you are really like relying on that game to be long-term revenue for you. Maybe you're really great at marketing, or you have a huge following on Twitter already, so you don't feel like you need that extra help to boost your marketing efforts. A lot of people aren't interested in giving up some of their creative control or ownership of their IP, which is sort of a whole big thing. Maybe you don't want to compete with a lot of other releases on the same label. Our publisher puts out about 400 releases a year of manga and anime, and we have to compete with that. They're really great, but that's like an actual thing that we have to sort of like continue to talk about and try to like keep everybody accountable. So I want to talk a little bit more about getting your foot in the door, but if you have your foot in the door, then a really good talk to check out is Nigel Lowry's GDC talk, You Don't Need a Effing Publisher. It was a GDC, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, but it's like top 10 GDC talks for me. and I would highly recommend checking it out. And we're going to share these slides later, and that underline thing is linked, so you can check that out. So for those of you who are interested in publishers, here is a handful of them right here. There are even more and more indie publishers these days. There are publishers who are releasing big games and small games and mobile games and console games. So it's really important that you do your homework and you want to know which publishers that your game is actually a good fit for. One thing that is super helpful is knowing if a publisher is trying out a new thing. A couple years ago we were talking with a publisher and they were really well known for web games and mobile games, but they were trying to break into the console market, and the only reason that we knew that is because we talked to them frequently. So the best thing you can do is just ask. And on that note, where can I find these publishers? So you can't really count on publishers to just stumble across your game. So you really want to make sure that you're getting out there. Cold emails don't usually work. So there's a lot of things you can do to try and kind of like get your foot in the door. You can submit your games to showcases like the Indie Mix or Seattle 6. Both of those things are coming up at PAX West right now. Twitter, just being online and present and stuff like that is really good. A publisher that we're friends with, I keep in contact by basically just talking about Mickey Mouse cartoons all the time, and that's how we keep in touch. If you have released games before, you can ask your representative at Steam or Nintendo or any of those platforms for introductions. Just keep in mind this stuff takes a lot of time. You got to keep getting out there. You've got to keep sneaking into parties. My first GDC, I basically just stalked Will the entire time, and now I know everybody because Will somehow knows everybody in the industry.
I snuck into all those parties.
Yeah, you got to sneak into parties, y'all. PAX is in 4 weeks. Show of hands, who's interested in meeting publishers? Who's going to PAX? Cool. Okay, you're halfway there. Another great talk to check out is Anna's talent talks that she did 2 talent talks ago? 1 talent talk ago? That's up on YouTube. She has a great talk about networking that you should check out if you need some help in that area. So before you approach publishers, some stuff that you're going to want to do up front. If a publisher's interested in your game, the next thing that they're going to ask you is, what do you need? And you should be ready to answer that. You need to know how much time that you need to finish your game, how much money you're going to need, how many team members that you need to add on. And you want to make sure that you don't lowball either. If you need $100,000 to finish your game, you don't want to settle or ask for 50 because you're shy about it, because that's not helping you and it's not helping the publisher either if you can't get the game done for the budget that you need. Playable prototype is pretty standard for the first time that you're talking to a publisher. If you have something that's like a vertical slice or a demo, something that's short and snappy and shows off the best parts of your game, make sure you got that stuff ready. If you don't have a lawyer, you should get a lawyer. Don't go into negotiations without one. I've done it before. I got fucked over. It sucks. Get a lawyer. And just like anything in life, there are good publishers and bad publishers. Make sure that if you know people who work with these publishers, hit them up, reach out to other devs on Twitter, and if you get a bad deal, don't be afraid to say no. So some other things that you want to be ready to talk about. Make sure that you understand your game's appeal. What are your game's hooks? What makes it special? If you can't communicate why you're excited about your game, then you're not going to be able to get somebody else excited about your game either. Know how your game is going to fit in with their other releases. If it's a similar art style or a genre that the publisher likes to release on, or platforms, all that kind of stuff. And there's a chance they might be looking for something new, so keep an eye out for that too. Publishers like Devolver are branching out from just like Blood and Pixels, which they were kind of known for when they got started. So keep an eye on that kind of stuff. And if you've got a game that has a successful Kickstarter, or if you have like 10,000 followers on Twitter, that stuff helps too. Easy peasy. So all of these things are a really great thing that you can outline in a pitch deck. So that's what we're going to get into now. I'm sure that there are a lot of games that can get signed without pitch decks. We always use them because they help us in a lot of different ways. They're great to send over, of course, for pitching publishers for funding, but they also help us with onboarding partners and service providers. A good pitch deck can do all kinds of good stuff for you. So I'm going to walk through our Cat Lady pitch deck, which I got permission from our publisher to share. Okay, I'm going to walk you through it really fast because Will says I got 6 minutes. But we're going to put all this stuff up online later, so you can check it out. I'm really glad I skipped that trailer, because that was like a minute right there. You want to start with something strong in your pitch deck. Cat Lady's art style is one of our hooks, and so we wanted to show that right away. And everybody likes cats. I'm going to just go real fast here, because I got a whole bunch I want to talk about. Next is the overview of your genre, the tone, an intro. This is sort of our elevator pitch for the game that talks a little bit about what it's all about. And then we try to get just a snapshot of the gameplay. We kind of had an issue with this with World Next Door's pitch deck, where we just went like, it was basically like a design doc. And that's not really what we want to send over to a publisher. You just want a real quick selling point of what your game does and why it's cool. Again, we lean really heavily into the art on this. If you have a really good artist, you should get them involved in your pitch deck, because it makes it look real good. More cats, and then we kind of start getting into like what the actual gameplay is here. Sorry, I'm just going to go real fast because there's just so many slides. And then we kind of dig into like a little bit of the gameplay and like a snapshot type of thing here. So we're showing exploration and battling and using your cats to defeat skeleton kitties. And the spooky noir dead cat boss too. We do a little bit of talking about like how this like is a good fit for the genre too. So this is a roguelike game, so we're kind of showing like how replayability is going to be a part of this. Game loop is one of the most important things you can have in your pitch deck. If you don't know your game's game loop, I would say you're probably not ready to pitch to publishers. So make sure that you got that down. I don't know if this will play audio, but I'm just going to give it a shot. It will? Cool. So this is the original concept animation test that we did for Cat Lady with the pitch deck. So typically, again, if you can show gameplay footage or something, that's much better. When we were pitching this game to Viz, we had an existing relationship, and we were a semi-established studio. So we were able to kind of get past this with an animation test because we were sort of known that we can ship a game. So I think this animation test probably took us maybe 2 weeks to put together, which if you're developing something can obviously take a lot longer to put together a vertical slice. So if this is an option for you, it's a really great way to save some time and get a tone and a sense of gameplay out as quick as possible. Oh, and it's just going to play it again. That's not what I'm trying to do. Ooh, 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 ooh. Did I escape? I did it. Okay. I'm so smart. Okay. So I'm going to go through these really fast because this is just more about our characters and enemies and all that kind of stuff. And again, we'll be sharing this stuff online. This is Allie. These are the NPCs. These are some cats that you can team up with. These are some more cats. I'm pretty sure Little Pretty's not in the game anymore, which is a bummer. We got some minions and some bosses and background on what they do. Unloved Teddy. I don't know if Mad Mirror's in the game either anymore, and I really like that one.
We might do it.
We should. It's a good one.
I'm thinking about it.
This is one of the other most important pieces of information you can put together before you meet up with publishers or send this stuff over, is your target audience. It's super important that you know who your game is for, and it shows that you've done your homework and that you understand your audience. This is honestly something that you should just have put together with your team outside of a pitch deck. So even if you're not pitching, this is good stuff to have down. So towards the end, we like to include some similar titles. This is helpful for people who are maybe looking for a specific thing that's like this other game that maybe they don't have a Binding of Isaac game in their catalog. We've actually kind of gotten away from including sales for like sales reports for games and stuff. In general, I would say like a red flag for a publisher is if they tell you, I'm gonna make your game sell 1 million copies. And this kind of feels like the inverse of that, where we're saying this game sold this many, so Cat Lady's totally gonna sell 3 million copies. So we've actually gotten away from doing this because it feels a little disingenuous. We also like to include quotes from press about games to kind of show why it's special. Yeah, Enter the Gungeon is also a good one. And Castle Crashers is kind of what we put in here to say, hey, this is sort of the humor and art style tone that we're going for with this type of game. And then we always like to end with a little cute button at the end of the thing, too. And that is the original pitch deck for Cat Lady that was greenlit about a year ago. I got 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, real fast. So once you've got a bite, get a lawyer, again, first thing. And remember that there's no perfect deal. There's budgets that are going to range from, again, big and small. You could be looking for 50 grand, $1 million. Publishers are going to offer different kinds of things for different types of games. Rev share splits are usually pretty different too. Standard is generally like a 70-30 kind of split. We've heard about 50-50 deals too. There's a really, really good talk that Tanya Short from KitFox just put up recently about sort of like their publishing model, and that's a really good resource to check out if you want to learn more about that. Alternatives to publishers, if you don't get any bites, there's other ways that you can try to fund your game. There's crowdfunding. Kickstarter is, I think, harder than it's ever been, but there's other crowdfunding models out there like Fig, platform exclusive deals. If you're willing to deal with sort of the online pitchfork mob around Epic Game Store, that's an option. Xbox Game Pass, Apple Arcade, and Google Stadia are also paying for games right now. You could also do self-publishing, like using margins from your client projects to fund your game. There are grants out there. Oregon has a really great film grant called IOPIF that we've taken advantage of a whole bunch of times. If you're willing to move to Canada, they have so many grants for games. You could move back in with your parents. Or if you're just not getting any bites at all, you might need to take a reality check and maybe think about trying something else. Unless your game is awesome, in that case, don't give up. And that's my talk. Thank you. Again, I have time for one question. Boom. Hi. It sounds like it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, one, what is a game loop? And then two, also in this one, you specified for Cat Lady that you guys were marketing towards PC and Switch. We did the same thing with the World Next Door. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering why you specified kind of that in your marketing deck and why you specified Switch versus PlayStation and Xbox.
Sure. So in general, a lot of the games that we're working on right now. Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. The question was, in our deck, we specified that we were targeting PC and Switch. So why Switch instead of PlayStation, Xbox? So in general, we feel that our games are a good fit on the Switch. The art style and the gameplay and just the general vibe of the games. So like that Nintendo audience is something that we're actively seeking. So that's why we have that in the deck, is something that we're going after. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
That answered one of them. You asked me. Sorry, what was your question about game loop? What is a game loop? Sorry. So game loop is sort of like the minute-to-minute actions that you're going to be going through. So I can maybe get back there real quick. So this is sort of like, real quick. This is what you're doing the whole time you play the game. So when we're pitching this, we're saying that you're going to sort of like pick your cats, and then you go out into the basement and you're fighting with them, and then you beat a level, and then you unlock new stuff, and that's sort of like the general loop of the game. This is pretty like standard kind of like roguelike loop. So with Cat Lady, we're not exactly inventing the wheel with this type of genre. But again, if somebody's not familiar with that genre, which if you're pitching it to a publisher, hopefully they are. But again, this is also like great for getting new people on board or something like that if it's not something they're familiar with. And I think that's my time. Yeah. Thank you.